Good evening and welcome to the town board meeting of February 8th, 2025. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Brady, can you lead us off?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could remain standing, we'd like a moment of silence as we remember and pray for the passing of the Honorable Alice E. Roker last week, and also another fixture in our community, veteran community, U.S. Army veteran Wayne Reese, who was a early recipient and then a longtime volunteer with my brother Vinny, helping veterans find housing and have their housing needs fulfilled. Thank you. Okay, we'll start with introductions. To my right.
Good evening, everyone. Maura Weissletter, Deputy Town Clerk.
Luciana Howitt, Councilwoman.
Supervisor Ed Lachterman.
Deputy Supervisor Sergio Esposito.
Councilman Patrick Murphy.
Councilwoman Susan Siegel.
Okay.
Town Attorney Adam Rodriguez.
Highway Superintendent Dave Paganelli.
I forgot the kids' table off the
Don't
left
forget the children's table. That's very rude. And there's no cookies and milk over here. It's
Sorry,
horrible.
that was my fault.
All right. So, reports of the town. I just want to throw out a few things. Actually, on February 7th, we kicked off Kenny Scroy Act of Kindness Day. Our Yorktown Police do No Shave. They raise money for organizations. This year, their organizations are the Alliance for Safe Kids and United for the Troops. And they also take donations through, it's usually March 16th, but this year, because March 16th is a Sunday, they will be kicking off the donations on the 13th of March with donations that are dropped off and also money raised by the police department. So it's a great thing to do. Both United for the Troops and the Alliance for Safe Kids have websites that you could check their needs list. And any help for those two organizations that help two very important groups in our community is just amazing. So I know I dropped off a couple of bags for the troops, a couple of checks for each organization, and we will keep doing things throughout the month. And it's great, and thank you, Officer Mullen and all of our PD for not only keeping Kenny's spirit alive, but also the great work you guys do in the community on a daily basis. We had a ribbon cutting the other day, Five Below. They opened a couple of weeks ago. They did their ribbon cutting on Valentine's Day morning, so they are up and running in operation. Also up and running in operation is Walgreens, and they will do their ribbon cutting this Thursday at 9:30 a.m. All are invited to come by, I'm sure. And as we cut the ribbon on another business, and then we will have another business grand opening on March 1st, which we'll talk about next week, or get it out there. And then on Valentine's Day, it was a busy day, but we had the senior luncheon. Got to spend some time at the community center. I was joined by Diana Quast, our town clerk. Maura was there. Amy Swan from the library. My wife Carol came down as well. DJ Pauly always volunteers time for all the parties there, does a wonderful job. And something that a lot of people don't know, we have one of the members of the Belmonts who lives in town. And Angelo was singing some of the Dion and the Belmont songs, which was really a great little addition to that.
He's great.
Okay, we were talking about veterans. Our legislators in the county of Westchester have approved a free Westchester County Park Pass for veterans. They did that at the end of January. So any veteran that would like a complimentary park pass for Westchester County just needs to bring proof of residency, the proof of their veteran status, and you can go to any park pass office location And you can find out more information if you need right online with the Westchester County government website. And I do want to wish 2 days early, but a happy 100th birthday to one of our veterans, Tommy Einwich. He was the chaplain at the American Legion Post 1009 until health has kept him more homebound. But a great man. He actually served in World War II, 17 years old, and his father had to get sent home. His father served in World War I and World War II, and because they were both overseas and the only males in the family, the government actually sent his dad back home because you can't they will not do a notification that all the males in a family have been killed in action. So it's an interesting story, and Tom was a prodigy drummer. 12 years old, he was a drummer down in New York City. Really interesting gentleman, and Tom, we wish you good health and a happy 100th birthday. And that is it for me.
Happy birthday. Hello, Yorktown. Good to see you all. So I just want to remind you that our fantastic library always has something cooking pretty much every day. But on the 19th at 7 p.m., they do have a Zoom link. You can find it on their website to actually learn and watch skits of these groundbreaking black comedians that have taken place. And it is hysterical because I started doing some Googling. And then on Friday, on the 21st, if you have nothing to do midday, they have a screening of Wicked, and you can bring your own snacks. Not like you can at the movie theater, but here at the library you can. You can bring your own snacks, and you can go ahead and watch it. And I know that it's a bit frigid outside, but we're hiring for the summer. So all you campers who no longer can be campers but want to be counselors, or all your fantastic swimmers who want to be licensed lifeguards, we can use you here in our facilities. Please call the Parks and Rec Department and see about locking in your summer employment before the sun comes out. And that's it.
All right, well, we had a great Valentine's Day celebration at Wynwood Oaks, and Ed already touched on the Five Below opening and a couple other things that are coming up. We do have a new owner at Yorktown Golf and Baseball. That's the place on Lexington. Like as soon as you hook the right off 202 and you hook the quick right, it's back there. So at one point it was slated to be a parking lot for an automobile, and we kind of denied that, which I think we made the right choice on that one. So I'm happy that there's a new owner. We'll be getting out there and getting his name out, and I'm looking forward to some improvements that he had. Yorktown High School had a student that graduated several years ago. He went to school with my middle child, Jack. His name was Charlie DeGennaro, and he ended up coming down with a disease. He's survived it. He's doing well. But back then, the high school, the basketball team, because he loved basketball, and they decided that they want to honor him, and they wanted to raise money for Blythedale. That was the children's hospital he was in. So it's called Charlie Strong, and they have this every year. And just about a week ago, they had the annual Charlie Strong game. And I got to meet Charlie again, a really great kid. But I continue to be amazed by the youth here in Yorktown, all of Yorktown and everything that they do. I know the kids at Lakeland, they have a pink out for breast cancer awareness. The football team does that. It's just amazing things that these kids are doing. I mean, I wish I could say I was doing things like that in the Bronx, when I was their age. I wasn't, but I'm trying to make up for that now, right? I did want to tell you a story. The last Monday, my mom came down with bronchitis. And she went to the doctor. The doctor gave a whole bunch of stuff. She started feeling better. That Thursday, my dad came down. He was sick. We sent him to the doctor. And the doctor gave him a bunch of stuff, and he came home. Thursday night, I get a call from my nephew. And my dad is incoherent, babbling, and he's frozen. He was trying to get into bed, and he just got stuck there. And so, they panicked. Everybody thought it was a stroke. We didn't know what to think. Called 911, and almost immediately, a medic showed up at our doorstep. at my dad's doorstep, and you know who this medic was, right? It was the second fly car that Luciana was such a strong advocate for. They were there in about 2 to 3 minutes. And it turns out that the first fly car got stuck. Not stuck. There was an accident, and he was dispatched. That person, that medic, was dispatched to the first accident. So he was preoccupied. And if it weren't for us passing that, and you speaking so highly about it, and this town board really moving forward in a positive way, I don't know where my dad would be. I'll tell you where my dad is now. He's home. He got home today. They took him to the hospital. They tested him for a stroke. They did this. And it turned out that he had a really high fever. And they almost immediately, the medic almost immediately brought the fever down and rushed him to the hospital. So I'm thankful that sometimes, we try to make decisions that will positively, affect our community. I never really consider it, that it's going to, affect me in such a positive way, too.
Thanks, Sir Joe. Thank you.
So I appreciate it.
Yeah,
All right.
very happy to hear Dad's home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great news. And I piggybacked on that. I had to use that a couple of times with my brother Sean, and
Yeah, it was great.
it's the best. They do a phenomenal job. They do a great job. But I just want to piggyback off what Luciano was talking about with the J.C. Hart Library. That you get to drop off canned food there until the 22nd of February also. And then in March, they're going to start their seed swapping. So if you have if you're going to do a garden, you can go there and you could seed swap and you could plant your garden. And they'll give you enough information so that you'll have a nice flourished garden.
Pat, it's funny you bring that up because they use, I might be dating myself, but remember the card locks?
Yes.
So instead of it being cards, they're actually seeds.
Yes,
So
yeah.
squash is under S. I'm like, this is great.
So just on another note, we did the Five Below ribbon cutting. Then we stopped and saw the general manager for Michaels, and it's incredible how many if the kids are looking for a job between TJ, between Five Below, Michaels, there's hundreds of jobs available for kids and adults. So, and just Dave, little kudos. You guys did a great job on the snow.
Thanks
and,
for your help.
and the ice. No, it's nice waking up in the morning and seeing blacktop. So did a great job.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I have some updates on some infrastructure issues. These are carryovers from things that were discussed at our last meeting. At the last meeting, I mentioned that the town had not gotten a grant for the Halleck's Mill sewer extension, which was leaving the project basically in standstill, in limbo. Nothing was going to happen unless there was any additional outside funds. The supervisor did mention the possibility of a grant that he had just learned about, and he was going to do some more research. Well, it turns out that grant is not for sewer projects. It was for something else. So as it stands now, there's no other source of outside money. In the meantime, we have a commitment of roughly $12 million for that sewer project. If I'm concerned, and I think the board would share my concern, that if we do not do something soon with that money, we possibly could lose it, especially the $10 million that comes from something called the East of Hudson Funds. And there are many other Northern Westchester communities that are reaching out to that fund. And if they say, Yorktown, you're not using it, we have somebody else who wants to use it, let's do it. So what I'd like to suggest this board, and Sergio, you mentioned last meeting that we should discuss this at a work session. So what I would like to suggest is that we take the roughly $12 million, 10 from the East of Hudson, and Congressman Mondaire Jones and then Lawler each was able to get, I think, $1.2 million from the federal government. And we ask our engineering department to see how many streets, how many properties we can sewer with that money, plus whatever would be an appropriate sum that the homeowners would have to pay. We just have to scale back, I think, and then make sure we use that money before we possibly lose it. The engineering department already knows how many linear feet are in each street, whether it's Sunrise Street, Hedwig, Hyatt. They know that. They know it costs X dollars per linear foot, as an estimate. Which ones would have low pressure. All of that information is available. So I would like to ask this board to direct the engineering department to start crunching those numbers and report back to us at the March 11th work session so we can discuss the issue and how much we can get done with the money we have, plus whatever the appropriate amount that the taxpayers could use, and let's get moving. The town was notified in November of 2016 that we could now start hookups to that plant. We're almost 10 years, okay? And nothing has been done. And we had that $10 million commitment back in 2016. So that's one of the issues. Also dealing with Halleck's Mill, I asked at the time that I was waiting for an update on the pump stations, the 4 pump stations that we had to do. After the meeting, I got the report that was the town had requested in 2021. The report is dated May 2021. That's how long ago we found out what needed to be done. At the time, the cost estimate updated to $2023 was $7.2 million, but the town has a commitment for $5.8 million from federal government. So, I'm sorry, I don't know who the money is from, but we have, so most of this could be already paid for. Why haven't we done anything? Okay.
Susan, you know why. We don't have the money to put
No,
aside. You cannot accept a grant.
Without
I
having
just had the meeting without having the funding in place. It has to come from the sewer districts, and they don't have the money.
There is
We are working-
$2.9 million in a fund balance in the Halleck's Mill Sewer District.
Where would you like the other
Yeah.
5
So
million?
let's pick out, let's go to which are the pump stations. They were $1.8 million to begin with. So let's do that, and let's start with at least one and get this done.
Susan,
because
if you'd like to have a conversation with me in my office about stuff like this, rather than spring it here so we could have the debate, I had a meeting with Dan and Janelle this morning. We were discussing this exact thing. This is one of the things we're discussing. I am more than happy to tie you into it, but I don't think that throwing it out during comments to the floor about things happening in the town is appropriate. Why don't you find the information out first?
I think it's appropriate to raise this issue and let the public know, especially the people in the Halleck's Mill Sewer District who haven't been told, but we keep hearing, we're going for money, we're going for money. There are 2 separate Halleck's Mill projects that need to be discussed, and the town board is not,
and the other's $20 million.
and the town is
We
not.
don't have the money, Susan, and we've been upfront about this. We're looking for, hopefully, the appropriations bill that's in passes. It's on again. So, but to beat this thing, you were fighting the plans that had come through in 2016 when Michael Grace was working on it.
Which was a faulty plan. It was a plan that was illegal from its conception.
I think
It was illegal from its
probably,
conception.
Probably a bad statement from you, but that's
No,
fine.
it was illegal from its conception. All right, that's old history. The point is, that this board needs to discuss these issues, and we haven't been discussing them on how to move forward on these projects.
Can we put something on the plate before we discuss it? I don't want to have a discussion that just says, "Hey, guess what? We have $10 million or $12 million, and we'd have to hit to do the first phase. We'd have to hit the taxpayers of Halleck's Mills with $8 million. Because
Wait a minute.
guess what?
Do you know, could we get some of that $10 million from the county to begin the construction work? That the county is, that if we, have you found out from the county whether we could use that money and get an advance on it so we could start paying the contractors? So we would have that money and we don't have to take it all from the town.
We have to have engineered plans for the grant. We will,
If-
Susan.
All right, and
can
let
have
me
the
just add,
discussion.
let me
And I
then
also
add
think-
one other
Last week
infrastructure.
you were trying to give $900,000 back.
Let's-
Now
let's-
this week
let's
you're
not-
worried about the
Let's
taxpayer.
not go there. I want to proceed
We're
on,
there.
I want to proceed
just-
on this
Yes.
before, and then there's one other issue that, again, I brought up last week, okay? And that's why we went out to bid back in November of 2024 to send TV cameras through through some of the Hunter Brook section of the Peak Seal system. And the bid came in. And then you said, we can't proceed. When I said, when are we going to award the bid? You said, we can't award the bid because we don't have the money. So my question is, why did we go out to bid if you knew you didn't have the money? And when are we going to proceed on that? And
we
that
are-
is only $145,000, and there are at least 2 sewer districts that tie into Hunter Brook that have roughly $300,000 in their fund
We're
balance.
looking at it, our comptroller wants to make sure everything is above board, the way it's supposed to be. So I asked her to look into where can we take it based on where the work is gonna be done. There's work in 2 actual districts that flow into Peekskill.
The
And-
2 Hunter Brook
right,
districts,
right.
and they had,
So-
and as of the fund balance, they had, granted
So
it
we
was a
are-
2023
we are-
fund balance.
As soon as my comptroller gives me the report back, if we could get that going, I want that going. We're under consent.
Consent order from 2019, and the town hasn't done virtually anything
Well,
on
we've
that.
done some
No.
things, Susan, but we
Yeah.
haven't. COVID stopped everything.
COVID didn't stop sending cameras through the
COVID,
system.
yeah, get the people out to work.
I bring these up because infrastructure is something that's critical. We know we have numerous problems in the town where we have ignored the infrastructure issues, and we have to attend to them and do it properly, and that's why I'm bringing this up now, to get the attention
Yes,
to it.
Right,
All
and
42,000 miles.
Susan, some supervisors before me did kick this can down the road. And we've spoken about this for the last year plus that I've been here, and we have been addressing them. These things would not have come up before my reign, so to speak, unless Tommy had pushed them, which he planned on. But we spoke about this, we're moving it. This is stuff that goes back from before you were supervisor. And it's still kicking down, and we're still working on it. We have to be a little conscientious about the money that we spend, and we have to be more conscientious about making sure that we don't overstep the rules, especially when it comes to the grants. And I definitely do not want to start grant work before we have grant money, because that'll null and void any grant. They will not give us the grant if we do not follow the laws on it.
Well, then could you ask Janelle to check in with the county on the release of the $10 million east of Hudson money, and whether that could be done, and that could upfront the money to start work on some of the pump stations. I'm sorry, not the pump
Just so
stations.
you know,
that would be the extension. That would
Last
be the
time we went to
extension.
the county and the state, which was back, I want to say it was when either Lonnie or Matt were the supervisor, they told us that they weren't going to give us anything unless we could show them that the job could be done at a cost to the residents that was not astronomical.
And that's why I'm saying we have to be realistic and scale down the project. It can't be 315 homes, whether it's 200 homes, 175, I don't know. That's why I'm asking for this board to direct the engineer to take the information that he
I
has.
have already asked him to break it down.
And to-
The
and to-
board, the board doesn't need to, he's been asked. It's part of the executive branch that works with the day-to-day with the employees. I can tell you it will not be ready for March 11th, because I want the other sewer issues fixed that, on the other side of town.
Which
in the-
other
In the
issues?
districts that, with the taxing and the rentals that are all off, where, that go into Peekskill, where they don't have the one you've been,
The sewer merger, that's something
Yeah.
that we haven't even
Susan,
discussed
do
with the
you have
public
any
at
other
this point.
reports to the town? Because we're at that phase of the
No,
thing.
but
So
the-
if you
the-
could continue, please,
Okay,
so we could
but
get
I
on.
think
Thank you.
infrastructure is as important, if not more important,
Absolutely,
than announcing
Susan.
an opening of a new business.
You're absolutely right. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Do you have
thank
any
you.
other announcements?
No, that's it for
Okay,
tonight.
thank you. Ed?
all right. One thing I did forget, since we talk about businesses, an old business has closed down in town, Maria's Pizza. Unfortunately, they had some problems with the building, and I believe that the landlord had come in about 4 years ago, about possibly taking that building down and moving it back, and that might be why they're not doing the work. But on the good side of the coin, I did hook him up with another landlord in town, and he's supposed to look at another site right in the middle of town this week.
Oh, that'd be
So,
great.
yep, so hopefully we'll be able to keep Maria's, because I know Assemblyman Slater is very upset that he doesn't have a place to go for dinner, because that was his go-to for meeting nights.
Yeah, that's right.
But please stay tuned. Hopefully, we find a new location for them and it works out. And fortunately, the owner of the property was born and raised in Yorktown and has a lot of love for Yorktown. And he's like, "Oh my God, Maria's is an institution. We have to help them." So Chris, you're on the hook. Hopefully we get that going. All right. I would like to read the proclamation that we gave to the family of Alice Roker.
Am I invisible?
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave. You are.
I mean, in my red.
It's
you
a
know,
glare.
6 foot, 200 pounds. You didn't see me.
It's a glare. I'm sorry, David. Go on.
That's okay.
6
I-
foot.
So I just would like to express my gratitude to the town employees who went above and beyond in this incredibly brutal icing event. 7 hours of freezing rain. We put salt on the road, wash off. Within an hour, the roads were sheets of ice again. And to give you an idea, the time that they were in was a bit over 20 hours. At the 11th hour, we had catch basin collapse on Lee Boulevard. So, of course, that instituted another couple of hours. And then we went into trees, which we had numerous trees down.
And power lines.
And power lines. And I'd like to especially give a shout out to, I see our water superintendents here, to the water department. Not only did they help us out for that 20 hours, then they had to go out and do a water main break on one of the coldest days of the year. So kudos to your men, Paul. You know, you really, you stood there for us, and, you know, then you went out and killed yourself. So God bless you guys. And God bless all the men and women who work so hard, and especially pleased with the residents in this storm reaching out to us, letting us know where there's still icing spots all over town. We're salting every day. So if you can just let us know. And trees that may come down still. You know, we had another one come down today. So,
Yeah.
you know, just feel free to give us a call and let us know. So help us help you. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, David. I'm sorry. I did know you were going to talk about that, but
It's
also,
okay.
you know what? I think you deserve kudos. I know that you and I were up at the salt bin on Saturday, looking at the levels of the salt, and you know, your dedication and leadership with the team is greatly appreciated, and I know that you know, you take it to heart, and that's one of the most important parts of this job. And I do really appreciate everyone chipping in and what you had. So thank you.
Thank you.
We had this huge, beautiful tree come down, right at the
Oh my
intersection of
God.
Spring,
6
McKeel.
hours. 6 hours.
That tree, man, that tree must have been there for hundreds of years. It's gone. Anyway,
All right.
sorry.
So I'd like to read the proclamation that we gave to the family of Alice Roker Saturday at the service. Honoring Alice E. Roker. Whereas the Honorable Alice E. Roker served as an elected official of the town of Yorktown for over 30 years, and whereas during her 30 years of service, Alice E. Roker served as the town supervisor, town councilwoman, town clerk, and before her passing, town historian. She has also served on many committees and community boards. And whereas before her years in local government, Alice graduated from UCLA, which paved the way for her to be an award-winning journalist and was recognized with an Emmy and New York Broadcasters Association Award at WNBC. Her commitment to truth and public service began her distinguished career in local government. And whereas Alice was much loved and respected by her family, friends, co-workers, and many community members, her true legacy lies in the profound effect she had on the countless men and women she mentored and taught throughout her career. And whereas we offer our sincere condolences to her children Gregory and Courtney and her granddaughter Sky Clara, who will carry forward Alice's strength and spirit of compassion, and to thank them for sharing this special woman with us. And now therefore be it resolved that I, Edward A. Lachterman, along with the town board of the town of Yorktown, hereby honor Alice E. Roker and her long-standing service to Yorktown and its citizens. It was a very sad day, but it was a celebration. Her family being there, great to see them again. Courtney actually went to school with my daughter, and a wonderful, wonderful life to celebrate. A great mentor. The thing about Alice, she told it like it was, and she did it with a smile, and you walked away with a smile, even if she was telling you this is really what you need to do. And I talk that as from experience, as someone who did work with her and had mentorship from her. So sorely missed, but her spirit will be part of Yorktown from here on forward, I know. All right, we do have our poet laureate John McMullen is not here, but Sergio, I believe, has a poem from John.
I do. It's called Crashing to Earth by John F. McMullen. The other day, looking through a local paper, I came on an obit of an older brother of a late acquaintance from Inwood, my childhood neighborhood. For perhaps the 100th time, I told my wife the story of the brother approaching me after a basketball game to compliment me on a particular shot in the closing minutes of the game. I had driven into the right corner, gone up in the air, turned, released a shot, and had gotten nothing but net. I then added, and over 35 years later, I hit the same shot to win a game in a league in our new neighborhood. Thinking about how that must have sounded, I said, I guess I remember every big shot I ever hit. She responded, it's a good thing you do because you won't ever be able to do that again, and handed me my cane. Wow, crashed back to earth and to reality. Obviously, she was right on. Now it's important to do other things that will be great memories in another 20 years. John McMullen.
Very nice. Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
All right, we will now open the floor to Courtesy the Floor. Please remember, you do not have to wait for Courtesy the Floor to pass your comments on. All of us are available via phone or email on the town website, everyone at this table, and the table to my left as well. And you could always come up and visit in the office and see Lorraine, who could help you with problems through the town. Please, when you come up, introduce yourself, and remember, it is a 3-minute time limit.
Howard, lift the mic up so you're tall. You can touch the mic, man, Howard. Don't worry about it. Yeah, attaboy. Come on. You got it. Good.
You got it?
Good evening, Town Board. I would first like to start off with kudos to Dave Paganelli and the Highway Department. They did a fantastic job, as always, keeping Yorktown safe again and again and again, year after year. Am I talking loud enough? I don't know if you hear me. This wind and rain and ice, getting it all at once. I don't think we ever had wind like this before. I've been here 25 years. I don't remember, but thank you again for keeping us safe. I'd like to have more information and just the facts. I don't like to bring up the federal government because we talk about the town board, but it is related. As far as the federal grants go, with all the, and I'll get more specific talking about the town, so I'm not going to focus on what the federal government's been doing, so don't, think I'm focused on that. Where's the time?
Right here.
It's over here.
You're still good.
Okay. I know they're making cuts. So how do the cuts affect the grants that the town is getting? I don't know if you can even talk about education because I'm sure it's going to affect, since they're cutting the education buildings. I don't know if I got to go to the schools to ask them this, but it's going to affect the kids with disabilities. Maybe you can help me with to figure that out, which I think is totally unfair. And maybe you can, Luciana, you might have more insight on that. And also, how does that affect grants with the town? And also, because I know Susan Siegel mentioned something about grants, and does that affect the budget or future plans? Also, oh boy, I hope I'm not wasting time. Also, I'm happy to hear your father's doing well, by the way, Sergio.
Thank you.
And because we're going to have more houses built eventually, maybe sooner than later or later than sooner, I really would like to see more ambulance added to the community. And I don't know, well, I'm facing you, so I'm not going to ask for a consensus here. I can't do that. But I really think we should have more added, and I'd like to know what your ideas are, because there is just one example. I mean, we definitely need more. Maybe, what is it, 1 per 100, 1 per 500, 1 per 1,000? Please let, if you can. And thank you. Have a good evening. And I'd like to pass the rest of my time to this nice person.
Thank you.
Oh, then pass it to
You want it
whoever needs
more?
it.
I'll
Thank
do a
you.
countdown time.
Good evening,
I'll do a countdown.
Jay
so I can-
Kopstein.
Hi, Jay.
And how are you? Two quick comments. First, Paganelli, you've got omnipresence throughout the town. Thank you. When I reviewed this year's budget, I found a large expenditure without sufficient justification. After attempting to find documentary justification, I reached out to the supervisor. Supervisor Lackman contacted the vendor concerned and provided me with the necessary justification. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Jay.
you, Jay.
Hi, good evening. Most of you know me, I'm Nancy Milanese. I live on Maple Hill. And
Hi, Nancy.
Dave knows for years and years and years, we've been trying to do something with the corner of Underhill and Hanover. For the people like myself who try to get out, it's almost impossible when there's an event at, St. Patrick's. I mean, people coming out for Mass, everything that's going on there. And now that Dave brought before the board to put in stop signs, oh my goodness, miracle coming true. We may be able, if you can cross over, you made your day. If you can make a right, making a left, you're lucky. But, oh gosh, please make sure you pass it because we need it desperately. Thank you, and thank you, Dave, for everything that you do. Thank you for putting up with all my text messages.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks, Nancy.
Hi, I'm Mike Samwalko. I'm a 32-year resident.
Hi, Mike.
Hi. I'm going to start the way many others have. Dave, bottle of water. Beautiful job this winter. Really, thank you very much for your efforts. But I'm here to talk about 485B, and what I believe to be a very naive view of this program is some sort of massive tax giveaway. As a business owner, in my view, nothing could be further from the truth. I've owned a business now for 32 years. And moved our plant 4 times. Each move was a negotiation between ourselves and the owner of the new site property. We gave and we got. That's the process. If Yorktown was to limit or eliminate 485B in any way, while surrounding towns do not, we would be handicapping our ability to promote the town to new business development. Why would we do that? The argument seems to be that these new businesses would move into Yorktown regardless, and therefore the tax relief is unnecessary. Where's the foundation for that assumption? If that was true, why would Food Emporium be empty for 10 years? Kmart, empty for 10 years. Why would the JV Mall be in the shape it's in, or the Triangle? In fact, Yorktown's had it more than its share of business failures that we need to overcome when we're promoting the town to new businesses. Here's the value proposition from the business owner's point of view. I get some tax relief early on so I can get on my feet. The town gets a rateable and sales tax generating property where there was none before. And after all, let's not forget, these new businesses are paying taxes. A completely refurbished and attractive property where there was a rundown, empty eyesore before. And all on the property manager and business owner's dime, I might add, and we're talking many millions of dollars there. The town gets goods, services, and products now available to Yorktown consumers where there was none before. It's a very simple equation. I'll invest in your town if you'll invest in me. I'm scratching my head to understand what the problem is with that. I've also heard it suggested that perhaps there should be some sort of means testing whereby the town gets to review the business's financials as a way to determine whether the tax relief is needed. Totally wrong. You're either going to compete for my business or you're not. How healthy my bottom line is not the town's concern. Finally, I understand some are requesting a report detailing the amount of tax relief new businesses have received. Unless that report is issued side by side with a report that details the new revenues and many other positives these new businesses have brought to town, I see this as just a way to present a one-sided and disingenuous view of the 485 program. The fact is, Yorktown does not have the natural assets that would give us the leverage to play a strong hand in these matters.
Mike, I love what you're saying, but unfortunately the 3 minutes is up.
Can I have it?
Absolutely.
Grazie. That's all right.
That's all right. My reading's a little off, too.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. I was trying to find a way to say it, what you were saying. Yeah, I think it's...
Hi, everybody. Teresa
Hi.
Kelly, 238 Underhill Avenue. I'd like to thank Dave after 26 years of coming here, stating my case about an intersection that has been nothing but dangerous, just horrible. Something is finally getting done, and I do appreciate that. My only other concern is that we have tractor trailers coming up Underhill that are getting caught on the overhead light wires. Yes. They either get tangled up and they try to back down the hill, or they just go through and the wires come down. We have, as you all know, sidewalks, children, there's a bus stop on the corner, baby carriages, joggers, walkers, very dangerous. I think we still need to focus on that. The buses, UPS, still use that as a shortcut to get through town. They come actually up through town to make a right to go into town, which makes absolutely no sense. I think it's just to avoid the light, but now this will create more problems also. So just wanted to make everybody aware that as much as I appreciate a four-way stop, I think we still need to look into the intersection a little bit more. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Squirrel, you might have to raise the roof on those wires.
Hi, Stephen Reardon. I'm on Maple Hill Street also. I'd like to support what Nancy said and the previous speaker. I did meet with the town supervisor at the time, was Supervisor Gilbert, on the issue of stop signs at Hanover and Underhill. So we're talking 2018, 2019. I brought up a second issue. It was a visibility safety issue over on Baldwin. It was addressed the next day. Subsequently, there was a proposal developed to put in one-way streets down Underhill and up the other side. That never happened. I'm pleased to see, looking at the stop signs, which is what I had requested back then. I can't tell you, I've been on Maple Hill Street for over 40 years. How many times have we been out there, Rick? I've seen cars on their hoods spinning around on Hanover, crashing. I heard you, Sergio. I heard a lot of that going on over the years. It's been too long. And so I just want to support getting stop signs in there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Rick Hope, Maple Hill Street. I've been there
Rick.
a little over 38 years. Dave, thank you for the great job you did on the snow removal. I know it's a tough job.
Thank you for your service.
I'm here to support the stop signs at Underhill and Hanover too. Like I said, for 38 years, every day you go through that intersection where I live. So every day I've seen many, many close calls, accidents, as Steve said. So I just want you to know that I support that, and thank you for looking into it, and thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Good evening, Sarah Wilson, resident of Yorktown Heights.
Hi, Sarah.
I don't know how super the Super Bowl was this year. I didn't watch the football game, but I am pleased to report that the members of Grace Lutheran Church donated over 400 boxes of cereal for the Super Cereal Bowl. All of our cereal boxes will be brought to the community food pantry at St. Mary's Episcopal Church in Mohegan Lake, where they will be much appreciated by the residents served by that pantry. I know that the Lions Club and here at Town Hall and at the John C. Hart Library, cereal was collected as well. I don't know what the counts were.
It was well over 200. It was a Leo's Club, actually. The Lions gave them, they started something, so we let them run with it.
Yeah.
And my wife gave like 30 boxes that I think got counted into the Leo, so maybe like
Excellent.
240, 250.
And National Honor Society at Yorktown
Oh,
High
were they?
School also
Yeah.
did it. They were standing outside Uncle Giuseppe's on a really cold Saturday. So, thank you to our residents for coming together on this at $7 or so a box of cereal. 600, 700 boxes of cereal at $7 a piece is really going to make a difference and be much appreciated by our Yorktown residents who are served by the food pantries and are really trying to stretch every dollar. Our heating bills are really high, our utility bills are through the roof, so the food pantries are really essential. And I think that's it. Thanks
Thank you,
very
Sarah.
much.
Thanks, Sarah.
Hi.
Natasha. Oh, thank you, Natasha Allison, Yorktown Heights.
Hi, Natasha.
Natasha.
I usually come up with something like I've planned out, and I don't
Okay.
have that today. I did miss the beginning with the story of a family member's needing assistance, but I just wanted to say the town has done a great job. I had a family member who had an issue, and the town really supported, and I appreciated that. So I'm sorry I missed your story, but I know you all are doing such a great job to support everybody. I did write a letter to the board like a week or so ago about my concerns, what seemed to be the active pursuit of trying to pay back the fluoride grant. And so I heard another allude to that, and I heard about more grants, and I didn't catch your name, but I appreciated your questions and comments about the possible cutting of federal funding. And so I just want to reiterate my concern about the potential active pursuit to repay a grant that did not appear to need repayment, especially if there could be funding to potential future grants and things of that sort. So while I was here, I just wanted to make sure I reiterated my concerns regarding the potential pursuit of having to pay that back and what the motives may have been for that. But I do appreciate everything the town does, especially with this recent storm, and I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. Anyone else for courtesy of the floor?
Hope I'm doing this at the right time. I don't know.
It depends, but that's okay.
Yeah. I'm Todd Carter.
Hi, Todd.
I'm lifetime resident, 4th generation living here. I was watching, I think it was last week, the recording of the meeting, and somebody brought up about Black History Month. What I found out was pretty interesting. Somebody said, oh, well, I don't see anything with the middle of town there where the monument is of any African Americans. And Ed said, there are some, but you have to go and do whatever to get involved. That being said, it's Black History Month. My grandfather, Niles Curtis, a lot of people don't know him because he's been around a long time. Everybody knows my Uncle Niley, who worked for the Highway Department, but it's his father, my grandfather. He was one of the first African-American watershed police officers for the state. This is his photo I found. They had it down at the watershed department. They didn't know who this man was. So I went in there one day and told them, this is my grandfather.
Tom, could you zoom into that picture? Hold it.
Your brother showed me that. He showed me that like 3 weeks ago.
That couldn't be my brother. It had to be my uncle.
Well, but it was,
You're talking about Niley, probably,
no,
from
it
the
wasn't
firehouse.
Niley.
Wesley?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not my brother. That's my cousin.
Sorry.
That's all right. We have a really big family, too.
Yeah, no, it's hard to keep track of.
In
all
the
of you.
70s, our family, the Curtis family, was recognized one of the biggest families in the county. There's a lot of history with the Curtis family in this town. A lot of people don't know because a lot of you guys are new, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. But even back in the day, the fire department, my cousin was one of the founding members. There's a lot of history here with African Americans, which a lot of people don't realize, especially the new people.
Look at Alice Roker.
Yeah, she was a nice lady.
She was
Very
one
nice.
of the first, right?
The first African Americans voted into the town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A pioneer, you know?
So I just wanted to bring that up. Figured it was, good time to bring it up.
Perfect timing.
Thank you.
And
Todd,
thank you for sharing
great,
that with us.
great story, Todd. Thank you for sharing.
Anyone else for courtesy of the floor? Motion to close courtesy of the floor?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I'm going to actually start with the last. Todd, if you're going to visit Niley's, come by my house and let's talk and see if we could do something there and figure out. Oh, no problem. You know where I am, right? Yes. Perfect.
That should go in our museum, no?
Well, yeah, but maybe the watershed
They got
ones
a lot of stuff they
could
could-
recognize that. So there's definitely something that could happen there. Natasha, thank you for your comments. Hope your mom and your mom's dog. Have you had any updates on the dog?
He was adopted.
Oh, great. Yeah, great. Update me on email if you've heard anything. So I hope that's great. And I'll address the grants. We don't know where the government's going. No one knows. A member of our Climate Smart Community Task Force is working overtime because that's what he deals with, are these sustainable energy grants. From what I have heard, they wanted to put a freeze on things going out. They want to evaluate to make sure that the grants are what the taxpayers want, basically, and that they're grants that are being used within the country and helping the United States first and foremost. The states are worried, though, because they don't know where things are going. I know we, being a blue state with a red government, there's concern, but we do have in our area, we have Mike Lawler fighting for us. A little south of us, we have George Latimer, who I was on the phone call with earlier today. And they're really trying to protect and work, and both of them have a very unified message, which was, that New York is not one of these net loss deficit states for the government. We give more than we take, and they're fighting on that, and very, very good bipartisanship, and they will keep working at that and looking at it. We're going to have to see how things shake out, but I do believe that the appropriation bills with grants will be looked at a lot harder to make sure they're great projects. And then they will move forward. I don't think that the government says, well, we'll just not spend any money. Unfortunately, it's not where we can be. But we do need to make sure the money is spent right, and that's everywhere. That's on our level, county level, state level, federal level. And unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. I think that opening up the curtains, so to speak, and shedding some light onto it is not the worst thing in the world. I'm just really scared of what we find out and where our money is and where it's going. But, once again, we'll have to let that shake itself out. Sarah, great job as usual by the church as well. You guys get kudos, and I really, a great shout out to the Leos and National Honor Society. They were talking about this. I learned that they were getting involved at the youth council meeting. And I believe it was Dominic was a young man who was spearheading it, and they collected more than the Lions would usually collect without our big donation that we get. So I know that St. Mary's is very happy. I spoke with Cindy, and it was a great job by everyone. So Rick, Steve, Tracy, Nancy. I also go through that intersection every day. I live there. It's needed. I know that there's been a lot of debate about putting a stop sign so close to another stop sign, as well as having a stop sign on a incline in bad weather. I know a friend of my wife's got hit in that intersection on an early Saturday morning. It's very dangerous, and I think that I personally think that the risk of sliding back a little outweighs or is less of a weight than getting creamed at that intersection. So I'm fully in favor of it. It's one of the reasons it pushed forward. I know that this was not ignored for years. It was highly discussed. And I've been at a couple of those meetings where Dave and his team on the Traffic Safety Committee have really been on top of this. And, I'm glad that it is finally moving forward. And I think that tonight we should be able to have the okay to get some traffic signs, some stop signs up there. Mike, thank you for the comments on the 485B. I guess, you brought up a point where, and I don't think of this as much, I'm also a business owner with 2 businesses, and we look at it differently. One thing that might have been in the last paragraph that you didn't get to read, I think about, one of the biggest things of the town are the jobs. Look at some of these projects that have come in on it, Lowe's, Chipotle, Trader Joe. How many people are in Trader Joe? My God, it's like an army of people in tropical shirts every time you walk in there. Those are jobs in our community, whether they're directly out of Yorktown or in Cortland or in Peekskill and Mayapack. Those are our neighbors, Putt Valley, and it helps as a whole. It gives people money to spend. It helps them make their expenses. There are a lot of things that you cannot quantify fairly if you just look at, this is what they didn't collect. And with the thing that they don't look at is, for everything you didn't collect, you collected more money over what the base tax was once that work is done. But thank you. It was a very, very nice breakdown, and appreciate that. Jay, thank you. Our job is to justify that stuff, and as we learned on X, people will look at stuff great and give you suggestions. We have to be smart enough to listen to those things and realize that I personally am not going to catch every single thing. And thank you for bringing it up, and I'm glad.
You did listen.
Of course. Well, hey, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, because it's twice as hard to listen as it is to speak. So I always believe that, and thank you. I do. You like that one, Mike? So we definitely appreciate hearing that, and thank you though for doing the research and reading that over, because you have a very good critical eye, especially when things that have to do with safety, first responders, and your job. So it's very much appreciated. Howard, I spoke about the grants. Department of Education has very little effect on the school level here. In my experience working as a director of food service near a school, or actually I worked for the school. I worked for an agency that the school was on our property, and I did all of their food service for 13 years. The thing that I heard the most was out of New York State Ed, not out of Department of Education. They came up with a lot of rules and policies that required quite a bit of funding that they didn't want to give or have the money to give, what they call the unfunded mandates. I hate to say it, but the DOE may be detrimental looking at the way our schools score as a nation. I think we were 38th or 39th out of 40. I don't know if they're doing their job, honestly. So I wouldn't worry so much about that. I'd worry about what is a proposal to fix it. It's great to say it doesn't work, but let's see what the proposals are to fix the systems. As a manager, I used to tell my other managers that worked for me, if they came up to me with a problem in a restaurant, I'd say, well, you're a busboy. What do you mean? Busboys find problems. Managers solve them. So we need to make sure that we have managers solving those problems. And I have a lot of faith in our locally elected officials and above, the people who cover our area, that they want solutions. They don't want to just let the status quo go and say, well, there's a problem with this. we're not going to do anything. We just noticed a problem. They're saying there's a problem. What do we do to fix it? And I think we have some good representation all the way around for that. For ambulances, we did finally get the overnight, the second fly car. Know that we've been running the same ambulance service since 1990. So, baby steps, I guess. This is a big increase, and that's on the ALS side. The BLS is our volunteer for the most part. Although it's Mohegan, some of it's paid now.
Nobody wants to work.
So, but we have 3 ambulances in Mohegan. How many in Wyvac? 3.
3.
So we have basically 6 ambulances and the 2 fly cars now for advanced life saving. So we have a pretty good force of people there. They are busy and they'll get busier. You said suggestions. Well, I know that one project that wants to come in, I've already spoken to them and they seemed very reasonably, amicably reasonable to another substation for one of our ambulances and a fly car. So if we could break up and even get better coverage in the town, that could help our services. So I can't really give much more detail about it yet because they're still working their deal. Hopefully, though, we get to see that. And, if we could get a new substation built for free, that's a wonderful thing for our taxpayers. So, and hopefully we'll have an announcement on that by the end of the year. Okay. I think that covers it from my point of view.
I got a quick comment, and then I'll be done. Mike, I agree with you with the 485B. I've said it at multiple board meetings. The underlying assumption by many people is that they were going to come anyway, and it's kind of like superficially glanced over. It's like, well, the businesses they were going to come anyway, and the reason why we're giving tax money, it's like, oh, hold on a second, how do you know that? I want to know how you know that. What crystal ball do you have? And if you do have the crystal ball, please give me the lotto numbers because I'd like to hit the lotto tomorrow. It's not too late to go play. I'd have to skip out of the meeting,
Maybe.
So anyway, but I donate money to the town, so it would be, anyway. So, but I agree with you. With that and without a side by side, how are you going to compare notes? How are you going to put something out there that's very one sided? There's been articles in the paper that have been very one sided, and thank you for coming up here and actually, shedding some light on it and making some common sense points as to what's happening. And I think the efforts, the 45B, all of this stuff is evidenced by, the many businesses that are coming into town. I mean, there are so many people that want to come here and it's everything that we've done, and it's a culmination of all the efforts over the years. And it looks like it's panning out. It looks like it's, look at the town. The town is just, and you have a lot of properties now that are revamping, cleaning up, refacing, making it fresh and new, because the properties that did do that, they're attracting all the tenants. And so it's kind of like this little thing that's going on, this little dynamic that's happening. I mean, the other day at the last town board meeting, I announced, 15 new businesses? I went on for a while just telling people the new businesses. And you even got Miraggio's that's been closed for, you said 10 years over here, that place, forget it, And that's going to be reopening. We were there, we met with the legendary Par of Miraggio's. We were inside the place. It's coming out quite quick.
He's close.
He looks good, though. I got a picture of us, so we'll put it up on Facebook. But all of this is part of all these efforts and staying competitive. And unfortunately, look, the Yorktown of 1940 looked much different than the Yorktown of 1900, and the Yorktown of 1980 looked much different than the Yorktown of 1940. You have to try to keep moving forward and come up with creative ways, to get the job done. Thank you.
When me and Todd grew up here, there was 5,000 homes. There was 5,000. Now there's 18,000. So it's just a minor statistic, but You know, I'm going to just jump in real quick, Lou.
Just one more thing.
Oh, yeah, go.
And lastly, as far as the stop sign goes, I can't wait to vote yes on it.
Yeah. So just real quick, Mike, I was a small business owner in town, and everybody thinks you have a business, that you're loaded and you're printing money. I mean, well, most business owners are struggling, check to check, So I appreciate the little, presentation you put on, because it opens your eyes, it opens everybody else's eyes to what really goes on, And Natasha, thank you for your comments. They're well taken, Sarah, appreciate all the work you do for the town. Everybody, you do a great job, So.
Mike, I plead ignorance, even though I'm a longtime resident here, but could you identify what your business is? You said you had changed.
Military-grade electronics
But
for the
you-
defense
but-
industry, for those who couldn't hear.
It's a Yorktown-based business. What's the?
No, he said he's a business owner.
Oh, but you're not a Yorktown-based
A
business.
Yorktown resident.
He's a resident.
Yorktown resident. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I did understand
I'm
that.
from Thornwood, so I'm not that far from you.
Is that it?
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to just say, Sarah, did you open the box and notice how the cereal is like this big compared to that? And like it breaks my heart. $7, and I feel like even the bag of chips, like I don't know where they go. So every little bit helps. As far as the grants go, I also think there's something about show me there's money and I'll give you money. I think the government wants us to look sexy. So in a weird way, when they see that we have momentum, whether it's growth in our industry or growth in our consumership or growth in our community work, then they're like, oh, you're on the map. I want to show and be recognized that I'm giving to you. They're not just going to give you money and think, last time I played, you have to pay to play. So if you're not investing in you, why would somebody else invest in you? And I kind of feel like the 485B, I've been trying to say that over and over again, even on a smaller scale. So I did really, Mike, I really did appreciate it. So I guess I'm going to say whatever that guy said. But the truth is, why would I want to invest in someone who doesn't want to bring it here? There's no way we're giving 485B money if someone's not making a well-deserved investment, that no matter if they fail, that infrastructure stays with the community, allowing that place to keep going. And those historical, beautiful pieces of property that are all grandfathered in that we can't make money on, I just told you $7 for a bag of cereal maybe feeds my kids one morning. I don't know how many kids somebody else has, but I got 3. And that's the ones that are home. So how am I going to afford to keep giving these beautiful buildings a write-off and not having them, and it's still got to come out of my paycheck, which has got to go out of my taxes, which is every single person that's in my community. So I do think sometimes when, like Natasha was talking, you were talking about cuts. If we keep moving, then we stay on the map. And the more that Yorktown stays on the map, and the more noise we make with our assemblies and with our congressmen, and we work together, totally bipartisan, because we are local government, the more they're going to want to play with us. But if we start forfeiting and start not holding people responsible or just trying to make each other bad because it's election season, then you know who suffers? The ones that want to stay here, because they're not going to be able to stay here. And my dad always said, if I bought one house, you have to buy 2. I'm sad to say that if I have 2, my kids cannot buy 3. So I need things to kind of go back to preservation. And when you were talking about paying out, how much everyone's rich because everything's so pretty, we have a lot of shiny things in this world. What we don't have is the reminder that the shoemakers' kids go without shoes. The last people you usually feed are yourselves. We're such takers, we all feed ourselves. We look about how right we are. So when I get to hear that we all came up about safety and we're going to have stop signs, yeah, you know what? I think we have to stop in a lot of places. And Todd, I'm so grateful that you brought that. And I hope to see you more often with any trinket that you find from back then. Because when I was meeting with your cousin, he was telling me about all the cornfields and all these lands that you guys would hide and play in. And I'm thinking, geez, where are they so I can drop off my boys and I don't have to hear them for a couple hours. But with that being said, I'm going to pitch it back to Dave, because that safety with the wires, trucks got taller, right? Look at my vehicles. I can't fit in parking spots anymore.
That's true. And with respect to the wires in question are Verizon and Cablevision, and I have been in contact with them. They come out, to Teresa's point, they come out and do incremental little, raise it up a little bit when it really sags. They've done that, numerous times. The problem, my understanding is, and I could be getting buffaloed, we'll put it that way, graciously. I almost said it. Is that they say the pole is Insignificant. No, insignificant in height. Am I saying that correctly? The pole needs to be taller because on a pole you have a lot of things going on. You got your primaries, your secondaries, and your tertiaries and a ground wire. So those are all electric. Then you have that next skinny wire is usually Verizon. Then the big fat bundle on the bottom is your communication bundle, which would include Cablevision, any other, type of things like that. So every time you want to deal with one particular wire, it's one whole different company. So and
And it
believe me,
can't go underground, Dave?
they're not anxious to come out and put a new pole in. Certainly.
But Dave, if there's a lot of traffic there's no way to say, we have a lot of vehicles here, let's go underground? Pay for us to put it underground? Okay. All right, I tried. Dave.
Dave, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Do we?
Well, and the other thing too is the buses. Okay, and when you were mentioning the buses, it struck me that, and particularly you're 100% correct. The buses aren't supposed to be on that road. Period. We've spoken to them numerous times. Officer Rohr, the traffic safety officer, has gone down and spoken to them. We continue to speak to them as we do with Verizon and Cablevision to no avail. But I'm hopeful that once there's a stop sign there, okay, they may not find it so beneficial to avoid that traffic light at Keir Street in town. They may just say, oh gosh, I'm going to have to stop there anyway. They can't make that big swing around that turn there. So I'm guardedly optimistic that if with continued pressure and having the stop signs there, particularly flashing stop signs, that might encourage them to take a different route.
So, Dave, when you said insignificant in height, I almost thought you were talking about me. But I'm glad you were talking about the pole. I was like,
Dave, do we know who owns that that short pole?
there we go.
Everyone is in denial, and that's not a river in Egypt, unfortunately. That being said, we are working on it.
Let me help tomorrow. We'll go through my NYSEG guy and.
Yeah, I have. What's worked out well for us is NYSEG has been a good partner in terms of putting in all LED lights in our town, and we're saving $26,000 a year in taxpayer money by making that arrangement into perpetuity. I like to save money that my great-grandchildren will be saving, What I do today affects, everybody forever. So, it's
absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a simple thing. We want to add another traffic light up on Hill Boulevard at Lee Boulevard opposite the firehouse. And it's been 4 months now I've been working on it, just trying to get a proposal so that I can come to you and say, here's what it's going to cost, $10,000, $12,000, whatever. But the issue is a lot of people in Jefferson Village are going down the wrong side of that divider. And, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yep.
So it's not that clearly delineated. A street light would help immeasurably.
And in all fairness, I have trouble seeing that intersection there. So
It's okay. It's okay.
All right. So we'll move on now. Everyone good?
Yeah.
All right,
Todd, again, thank you for sharing your story.
Let's jump into the public hearings because maybe people want to talk on this. Convene a public hearing to consider amending Chapter 275 of the Code of Town of Yorktown entitled Vehicle and Traffic regarding the addition of full stops on town highways. Hanover Street at the northwest and southeast corners at the intersection with Underhill Avenue. Colonial Street at the northeast corner and its intersection with Granite Springs Road. Sycamore Road, the Colonial Street, that's right over by Guiding Eyes. Sycamore Road and its northeast corner, the intersection with Sheila Court, and the southeast corner at its intersection of Forest Court, southwest. Crescent Drive at the southwest corner at its intersection with Larkspur Street, and Larkspur Street in the northeast and southwest corners at its intersections with Crescent Drive.
Here's the notice.
So a lot going. Thank you. A lot going through there. We have a couple of. No, we have no comments on this. Sorry. So, Dave, anything you want to say in particular before we open?
Well, clearly the Hanover Street is a no-brainer. Colonial Street, and I like to give the residents clarity on the impetus for this. Colonial Street, as you're pulling out to Granite Springs Road, you look to your left, there's a huge privacy hedge that's there. There's a blind corner as you're coming from the middle school around Granite Springs Road, and you really can't see people doing 30, 40 miles an hour there. That presents a sightline issue. So that stop sign is specifically for a sightline issue. Sycamore Road, particularly at Sheila Court and Forest Court. Sheila Court more, it's the same deal. It's a sightline issue with bushes. Crescent Drive at the intersection with Larkspur Street, that's close to a school zone, and people do speed excessively on Larkspur Street. I think that's it.
Okay.
Dave, can I just ask just a general question? Sorry, I can't know which way
No,
to
that's
turn.
right.
All
No,
right.
that's- you
You don't have to look at it.
I'm used to looking at the back of your
I don't
head.
like to talk to somebody
Okay.
who's behind me.
I won't talk behind your back.
Okay. Just as a point of explanation, of clarification, you said that two of the ones have sight distance issues with plantings. Does the highway department have any authority to require a property owner to trim shrubs?
Absolutely. What we traditionally do, it's very similar to illegal water discharging onto the roads. We send out a notice of violation. If I go out and cut down your bushes, you're not going to be happy, because highway doesn't do neat. We're not the parks department. We come out, we cut down a bush, it's never coming back. So, no, I mean, we have it's a brush hog. It will chomp that thing up like you just see a bunch of scraggly things hanging up.
It's like
So-
Edward Scissorhands, but not
Yeah,
so artistic.
Right. So
Got it.
what we like to do is give the resident the opportunity to deal with it first. That particular resident or home is directly on a highly traveled double yellow line road. Okay. The bushes that they have there give them some privacy. There's no way to cut them back enough without taking them down, because they're close to the edge of the road. The problem also is people coming out of Colonial, they think that they don't see a stop sign, so they can just swing out. And that's not a good thing, because that ends up in accidents, or, it's like you've got a stop sign coming out of Quinlan Street there. One on the corner of Quinlan and one across the street on the property of the guy Nice for the Vine, right?
Yeah.
Just to make sure you see those stop signs. The fact that there's a stoplight at the top of Ridge Street, there should be a stop sign coming out of Colonial. Yes, could I cut down those bushes? But we serve the residents. It would not be good if I was egotistical and said, I'm going to come out there, those are my bushes, I'm going to chomp them down. I try not to do that. So, but yes, you're 100% correct. We do cut back sight lines, and often we'll always give the residents the opportunity to do it themselves first.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, David. All right. We will open the floor for public comment.
Okay, motion to approve. Yes.
Close
Motion to close
All
public.
right, close it and let's get the stop signs going.
I don't think you need to,
Nancy, we got you. Nancy, we got you.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, all
now
in
we
favor?
close
Aye.
Okay, I think we could probably vote on this tonight.
Yes.
Okay, so a motion to
Motion.
Second.
add the stop signs as enumerated. I have a motion, I have a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Neg.
Okay, thank you.
Yay. Next.
Good one, all right.
That's how public hearings should be.
We're going to convene a public hearing to consider a proposed local law to amend Chapter 300 of the Town Code of the Town of Yorktown entitled Zoning
Here's the
regarding a tobacco control law.
When did I become Vanna White for you?
Adam, you want to explain the changes that were in this?
Yeah, just give me 1 second, I'm pulling it up.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry. Thank you. Wait, guys, you might want to stay. We might end up pulling that back, that underhill, if you leave.
No.
This is
Bye.
exciting.
Don't touch the wires.
Yeah, so
Right, Nancy.
we had a moratorium in place. This would change the distance within which tobacco dealer, vape dealer, electronic cigarette dealer could operate within, certain 1,500 feet, basically of a school, playground, childcare facility, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that would apply to, on a prospective basis, so it wouldn't outlaw an operation that's in place, but no new dealers could be within that, that
Parameters.
distance, radius around these places.
Were there any other changes that were?
Yeah, it also polices advertisements and visibility, existing locations and going forward. So
Right.
that would apply, not retroactively, but it would just apply, right? So you have
Right.
to comply, even if you're, currently within the 1,500 feet setback or radius. The types of things you can display in the windows and types of advertisements you can make would be restricted.
Very good. We have some comments.
And there's fines involved.
I'm sorry?
Significant fines and penalties for violations.
Yes, we've added some teeth. So here's some, we have the Conservation Board, no comments. We have the Planning Board, no comment. No relative planning objections. That's
a good one.
regarding the proposed tobacco control law. That's what happens when you have Dr. John there. We have Abaca, no objections to the proposed amendment. And then we do have Westchester County Planning Board referral review, where they actually are in favor. No objection to Yorktown Town Board assuming lead agency status for this review, and they've reviewed the matter and advised the town to consider adding senior housing developments and medical buildings to the list of locations, prompting the 1,500-foot buffer.
I'm cool with that.
I'm in with that.
I'm down with that.
So-
Adam, if that was added, would this consider a significant enough modification to require re-advertising?
No.
Okay.
No, you couldn't vote on it. You won't be able to vote on it tonight, though.
Because of the change?
You have to wait it has to be on your desk in final form for 7 days, so if
Okay.
I send it tomorrow, you can't vote on it until
March 4th.
2 weeks or whatever, two.
But we could add that too. It's still, I think it's good.
But we're in the moratorium, right?
We are.
So?
I mean, I don't know. You know how I am.
When's our moratorium?
Can we
I
vote
forget.
on this and then edit it?
Nah, then you have
I
to
mean,
start
you have to
Then you have to
redo,
open public
you have to
hearing.
reno-
Well, our moratorium is till when?
We have time.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, we have time.
I think it's probably March 31st.
Yeah, I thought it was end of
March 31st, I think.
Okay. So let's make that change and,
Bring that back.
yep.
Vote in
And then,
2
and
weeks.
then we'll put this over and bring it back on March 4th.
Yeah, but
Well,
we're gonna get
well,
comments.
well,
after.
open the hearing. Close the hearing.
Oh, right, I have to bring people up, thank you.
Yeah, we'll
I'm-
close the hearing, then we'll vote on it in
Well,
March.
you got,
4th.
yeah, I mean, there may be other comments that,
Yes, you are absolutely correct. Sorry, I'm ahead of myself, trying to maybe get out of here before midnight tonight. Or you can have these back. All right, so
Well,
let's.
after the last public hearing, I think
let's,
we're all spoiled.
I think everyone knows where we stand. We'll open the floor to public comment if you have any new comments or if you're opposed, I guess, since it seems like a majority of the board is in favor. Please join us at the podium.
Okay, then we can close it. Oh,
No, we can't. We could just close the comment. Or do we have to hold comment open more?
I think you can hold it. No, we close the comment.
Hello, still Sarah Wilson.
Are you sure?
Hi, Sarah.
I just wanted to clarify, Adam, you mentioned that it's being done on a prospective basis, and I'm wondering how many tobacco establishments we may already have in town that are within 1,500 feet of these various properties that are being grandfathered in, because if it's a bad thing to have these, places
We
there.
we don't have a lot.
Okay.
I believe right now there are 3, but from what I understand, one just lost their lease, and
Okay.
they're waiting for the decision on this hearing to see, because it is very restrictive. It keeps you out of a lot of areas, especially with the parks and places where the churches and where kids are found. I want to say one of them is probably fairly close to a dance studio.
Okay.
And the other one,
Across the way.
yeah, is across the other side of town, Doc James, and I don't think they hit any of those parameters.
I wouldn't think so.
They
No,
might-
they don't like getting their own.
Well, 1,500 feet is a lot, so
Mhm.
it's 5 football fields.
I mean,
So,
does the funeral home count?
no.
I was being funny.
Oh. Well, some people could have thought so.
Who's the-
But I
who's the-
think the
where's-
church is farther than 1,500 feet.
Where's the one that with the dance studio? That's
It's across the street at Game Day.
No.
No.
That's the one that lost their lease. That one is over by Route 6 in Lexington.
Tom Thumb.
Oh,
Next to
yeah.
Tom Thumb.
Okay, in Mohegan Lake.
So those are your.
See, those were the only two, the one by Tom Thumb and that one.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank
Wait,
you for
actually,
clarifying.
actually, there's a cigar lounge.
Isn't there one in Jefferson Valley
Yeah,
over by
over bu-
Common Grounds
Right.
area?
Yeah, but I think
it
I don't
closed?
think they're.
That's
Oh, they closed.
They closed.
Oh.
Okay.
So no, there's not.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That one locked up. Eh.
Hello.
Hey,
Howard Gould. Good evening. So my question is, the two that are within the 1,500, once they sell the places, that's it. Another place wants to open up, or
So there's
say
only one, and
One.
if they sell it as a cigar store,
Right.
or shop, then and just transfer ownership, they could probably stay there. If they keep the LLC or the operating name,
Right.
if there's liability involved with that. But yeah, if they just close their doors, there's a certain amount of time that they lose that right for that use permit, and they would be gone.
But you're saying that if they keep the name, even though the law's passed, they could still keep the business open? Wow.
It's because it's still a business operating in
Because
that.
then it could be just a change of hands, but it's still operating existing.
Okay, I'm gonna
But the
make this
second they
fast, yeah.
change it, it won't be.
Okay, but anyway, I agree with the law. Okay.
Thank you, Howard.
Thanks, Howard.
Anyone else? Okay, motion to close public comment.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, just for the record, I'm going to transmit the revised local law now, so you have it on your desks, and Maura, you'll have it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Maura.
I think it's good.
Hmm?
I mean, I wanted to pass it tonight, but I think it's a good change.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, and then convene public hearing to consider proposed local law to amend chapter 280. Oh, I'm sorry.
A vote on closing, adjourning the public hearing.
Oh, didn't I do that?
No, they closed it. They closed it.
We closed, but we don't have.
Well,
Oh, you're not
They're done.
voting? Okay.
Right.
All right.
We're going to convene a public hearing to consider proposed local law to amend Chapter 280 of the Town Code of Town of Yorktown entitled Water regarding water
guys are-
meters and water rates. Gentlemen, join us at the podium.
Here's the notice.
Thank you. And before you get into yours, I'll just give the comments that were sent in. No comments from the Conservation Board. DEP does not object to board as lead agency coordinating review. And this is planning board. No planning objections to the approval of the proposed local law. Paul, introduce yourself to the fine members of our audience.
Hi, Paul Vasillo, Superintendent for the Water Department.
Hi.
Pretty exciting stuff. Yeah, I saw you smiling from ear to ear back there with all the stuff
Well,
going on.
it's interesting to hear some of this stuff.
No, I know.
Would like to speak to you on the proposed rates and fees and what, if passed, what the residents could see or will see. We went to Joint Waterworks to ask them what the average user in town is per billing cycle. It's 21,000 gallons per billing cycle, which would cost, well, let me go back to,
Paul, pull the mic up a little bit. I see at least one member of the audience trying to.
okay, let me go to start with, the rate increase we're looking to do is 75 cents to bring it from 7.15 to 7.90 per 1,000 gallons.
Paul, just one thing. Can you explain to the people why you're using Joint Waterworks and how we get our water?
Oh, okay, so-
That's all. Just, so
So
a lot
we-
of people don't know that.
We purchase our water from Northern Westchester Joint Waterworks, and Northern Westchester Joint Waterworks also does our billing. So we look to them to give us what the average user, the residential customer uses per billing cycle. So with this rate increase, it would cost the average user roughly $16 a billing cycle with this rate, with this 75-cent rate increase.
And that we have 3 billing cycles in a year?
Right, so it would cost them roughly $47, $48 a year. That would be about $4 a month.
That's if you're using that much water. There are people that are using
Absolutely.
less, and they're
Plus or minus.
and the rate increase is why? Explain to us.
Well, the costs. I mean,
I know why it's increasing, but I think people need
right.
to
So
know why.
everybody knows, right? The cost of materials, everything has gone up. I mean, I'll give you a rough breakdown. Like our fire hydrants, for example, has gone up 72% since our last rate increase in 2019. So I mean, our valves, and this is stuff that we use every day. Our valves have gone up 85%, the cost of a valve.
But didn't the cost of water go up that we're paying too?
So Joint Waterworks raises their rates to us 3 to 5% every year.
Yeah, regardless.
Regardless, every year.
And you haven't raised your rates in how many
Since
years?
2019.
Okay.
So we've been absorbing that cost since 2019.
What happens when we absorb that cost, Paul, for your department operationally?
The maintenance of the system starts to slow down. I mean, we were on pace of replacing 40 to 50 fire hydrants a year, and now we're doing about 5.
Wow.
I can give you a rough breakdown on what we've done over the last 10 years. I mean, we've done 350 or so fire hydrants have been replaced since 2012.
Out of
1,700.
Whoa.
I mean, we have 180 plus miles of water main to maintain that goes from 2-inch to 24-inch. And we just did a job in on Pine Brook.
Oh, Pine Brook, okay.
Yes, last year.
Yeah.
And just to install 2 valves, and it was $13,000 just in material. That didn't include salary, backfill, blacktop. So I mean, the cost to this department it's starting to show with the maintenance because it's slowing down.
Yeah.
How many valves do you support?
We have 3,600 valves.
So just to pump the brakes a second, right? So Joint Waterworks, who we buy the water from.
Yes.
Okay, just to dumb it down for me. We buy the water from Joint Waterworks. Joint Waterworks raises their rates to Yorktown 2 to 5%, 3 to 5% yearly. Yorktown, in turn, should be raising the rates 3 to 5% yearly to make up the difference,
Absolutely.
because that's what we're paying for the water.
Absolutely.
But we haven't raised our rates by 3 to 5% since 2019.
Right.
And this is the first time we're raising the rates by 75 cents per
thousand.
Per 1,000 gallons.
Okay. 1,000 gallons.
So every 1,000 gallons, it's an extra 75 cents, and it's the first time we're really raising our rates up.
Yeah, right. And there's a minimum, right? So there's an automatic minimum. Whether you use 9,000 gallons or not, you pay the minimum, which is 9,000.
It never goes below that.
Right.
So everyone gets billed the 9,000.
Absolutely.
And then from then up, it gets adjusted.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
21,
Yep.
10,
Yes.
12, whatever it is.
So, like I said, based off the numbers that Joint Waterworks gave us, as the average user of 21,000 gallons, you're looking at about $16 extra a month. I mean, a billing cycle, I'm sorry, which would equal out to about $48 a year.
A billing cycle is every 4 months. It's not quarterly.
Right, it's not quarterly. It's every 4 months.
So it's 3 times a year.
Yes.
So, Paul,
I'm just making it clear.
No, that's fine.
We share Northern Westchester Joint Waterworks with 4 other municipalities, or 3 other municipalities, sorry. Where are their rates at? Plus like surrounding, I know Ossining, Mount Kisco, they're not ours, but do you know how their water rates are, where we fall in the scheme of things?
Rate comparisons from the surrounding, Cortland is $9
Per 1,000.
per 1,000. Peekskill's $8.33. Newcastle's $8.29. And then if this gets approved tonight, we would be at $7.90.
We're still below.
And then Somers would be $7.40, and Montrose is $5.32.
Now, Somers, though, they don't even support a real water department, do they?
No, and Montrose doesn't either.
Okay.
Their systems are smaller.
Yeah.
in comparison.
They have a lot of well, too.
Somers.
No, seriously, they have a lot of well.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Somers.
Yeah.
It's just a different caliber of where they get the water.
Something I'd like to point out, the difference between your minimum, which is 9,000, and your average is 21,000. This is something that homeowners can control because they control the water that they use. So they could run a dishwasher half full or wait until it's full. They could take 5-minute showers or 10-minute showers.
Right.
So residents have, just the way we have a control over the electricity we consume, we have a control over our water bill. Just for anyone who's above the 9,000 minimum, and if you're concerned about your bill, this is a way. Plus the fact that with the new smart meters, if you have a leak that you don't know you have a leak, or you have a leak and you're ignoring it, the water department will now notify you that something is wrong because your consumption is going
I
up.
think we're going to hit a little bit on that when we talk
Right,
about the
the
meters.
portal, right.
But people can control to some extent their water consumption and their bills.
Not when my daughter's home.
Well,
Not if I live with you. I like my hot showers for hours and hours.
well, that's a choice we make.
Yeah.
So we,
No, I get it. I
We,
totally get
we pay for this also means that the cost for maintaining, because we do have a much smaller tax that we pay on assessed value, but the bulk of the income for the water department comes from the consumption. So people are paying, the ones who use more are paying more.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just equitable.
What else you got for us, Paul?
The non-compliance letters
Okay.
for the meter testing. We were proposing the first letter, no charge. We were encouraging residents who haven't changed their meter to the smart meter, to change. We'll give them 30 days. The second request will have a $25 surcharge on that letter if they don't respond with the first one. And then the third request for residential will have a $100 surcharge and then a recurring $100 surcharge on their bills. And then we'll start over in the following year with the first letter going out to require testing. These are now the 451 residents that haven't changed to the smart meter, so we can check the positive displacement meters for accuracy.
Okay. Any questions on the letters?
Oh, and then also you want to explain the commercial.
Right, I was going to touch on the commercial. So commercial, it was already in town code as in every 3 years. Now, what we wanted to do was change it to every year. This way we guarantee that these meters are running accurately. Same thing, first letter, we're asking, please check your meter. Whether we do it or you hire an outside company. Second request, it'll be a $250 surcharge. And then the third request will be $250 a day up to $5,000. And then a recurring $1,000 added to their water bill, and then starting over the following year. We are definitely losing a lot more money than that with these commercial meters.
So can I, and I don't know if it's too late to make the change or if it's there, I would recommend that in the commercial, it doesn't reset. Every billing cycle, it stays at that top if they're not done.
Okay.
We know who owns those commercial properties because they maintain them.
Right.
They're there. Sometimes a homeowner might not get a notice if they're leasing or renting, or there might be a couple different things. So I think it would be important to keep that rolling. So what was the third notice? 500 a day up to
It was
5,000?
$250 a day up to $5,000, and then a recurring $1,000 charge on their water bill.
I'm sorry, what change do you want to make? Because
want-
it's not making a change with a delayed vote.
So we
voting.
send out the first notice, a second notice, a third notice. The first notice on commercial should not go back to please check it at nothing. The first notice of the next year should be the same as the third notice. $250 a day, up to 5,000 with 1,000 reoccurring as well.
Right.
So a possible total of $6,000, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All
I
right,
don't
so
think
on
that
the,
should
if they haven't done anything the first time, for the second year, you're gonna go back to the fine starts. Is that the same thing with the residential, or are you gonna have to send them the notice each?
Well, we when we discussed at our prior meeting a few weeks back, it was the residential, when the meter's tested, if it's in compliance, then the meter stays right where it is, and we'll send out the letter the following year to make sure that the positive displacement meters get tested. If it fails, they have the option to have a smart meter installed for free. You know, we'll install it, or if they want to continue to move on with the positive displacement, they could purchase it from us.
At cost.
Right, at cost, and we will install it. And then we'll go back to yearly testing to make sure it's running accurately.
But it will have a radio
They
discharge.
they don't come any other way now, so it will have a radio. Yeah, so eventually this whole system will be all radio read.
But if they don't comply, and the third letter, they don't comply, and they don't allow you to come in to test, that surcharge will continue on their bills?
Yes.
For as long as they don't comply?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. This has been a long time in coming, dealing with these 450 people. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the commercial testing, while we're doing annual testing in this law, the change dates back to early 2020 to put some teeth into the commercial testing, and then nothing was done.
Oh, I think we ran into
For
a
a
hiccup with
variety,
COVID.
for a variety of reasons.
Susan,
but-
and I know you don't like the answer,
Well,
but with
it's
COVID,
COVID. Everything's COVID.
no one would come out. Paul, you want to explain what was happening when you called people to get them
Right,
up to do-
people were just they were ignoring us because nobody was coming out to test, and there's nobody to test. There's only one company.
I understand, and I
how
thank
did
you
we
for having
solve-
to deal
how
with
did we
this now.
solve the
Yeah.
issue?
We purchased the equipment to start doing our own testing.
And thank
And we
thank
trained
you
our
for
people.
So I have
doing
a
it, so
question.
that finally, after, in 5 years, we're now dealing with something that dates back. It's taken us 5 years to deal with the issue, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so as far as commercial testing goes, right, so you guys do commercial testing?
Yes.
You do? And if I had a business and I wanted you to come out and commercially test my my commercial water meter, how much would that cost?
Oh my God, do you have that?
It's $100 per inch
Yeah.
of pipe.
Yeah, I think that's how we left it, was 100 per inch.
And Sergio, if you have a store within a strip mall, you actually don't test it. The strip mall does a test on the
absolutely.
main meter. So you wouldn't. It's not the individual renters. It's only the existing landlord.
So typical, if you're in a commercial development like the Triangle, something like that. Is that would that be
Yeah, I
accurate?
think Triangle.
They would do their own.
Yeah, Triangle I think only has a couple, and they're only what, like inch and a half. I think.
So inch and a half would be $150.
Yes. So look, Jefferson Village is loaded with inch and a half meters. So, and they've been pretty good. You know, we reach out to them, and they've been willing to work with us. So
How are they on the conversions at the village? Do you know?
So with that point, we only manage up to 1 inch. Inch and a half falls to the property owners. So I believe once these details get ironed out, we would then be able to push them a little bit further along in the process.
So they're not in the 450 count, or they are?
It would be a separate
51 is
residential.
Scattered residents through.
Bless you.
3/4 one.
Single
Anything over
houses.
1 inch is considered commercial.
Gotcha.
And some of these fees will be into what we call the master fee schedule. Some of it's in the law.
Yes.
And then some of it, so there's part that we have to vote to adopt the law with the changes, and then we also have to adopt by resolution the changes in the master fee schedule.
Yes.
So with Jefferson Village, does each unit? No, right? They don't each have.
No,
Each
I live in
building.
Jefferson Village.
Each building.
So I'm just asking Paul. So,
So in the village, most buildings have an individual meter. There is a section that I believe there's 2 or 3 buildings that piggyback off of one meter, but in general, each building has its own individual meter.
so 1 meter for the building.
Exactly.
Okay.
And just as clarification, I live in Village 11, and that's part of my common charges. So I never see a water bill.
Good.
Okay. All right.
Fantastic.
All right. Also, the capital project fee
Mm-hmm.
of 20 cents per thousand.
So-
Oh, yeah, the purpose of this is to have a separate line set up by finance, so the money will go strictly to capital projects and not into the water fund. That, once again, I'll use the average of 21,000 gallons per billing cycle. That'll be $4.20 a billing cycle, $12.60 a month, $12.60 a month extra that will go
So
into.
$1.12 a month.
Yeah, $1.05 if you want. Really.
No, for 12 months you meant.
What did I say?
You said $12 a month.
No, $12.60 a year. My mistake.
year, $12.60.
My mistake.
So-
I'm reading and.
No, that's okay. No, that's all right.
Paul,
so it's $12.60.
that fee is going towards the maintenance of the 180 miles of pipe you have.
Right. So that money will be used for any tank rehab replacement, relining of water main extensions, fire hydrant programs, valve programs. It'll be used for the maintenance
Okay.
of the system.
Smart.
Good.
And then the final would be the meter rental.
Right.
Which we've had the discussions. There's some fees that we pay every year for these meters. We pay roughly $35,000 annually for the what is it? The warranties, maintenance for these towers. And then you also have, now these meters are disposable and they can't be rebuilt. So if there's a crack or there's an issue with the meter, they get thrown away and a new one gets installed. These are costs that we're trying to
mitigate.
It's almost impossible to budget for something. You have a bad winter and these meters start cracking, whatever it may be. We have an issue with the tower, which we just had, and it cost us. Oh no, it didn't cost us, but it was about $40,000 to $50,000 to rehab that tower.
So and that's the reason that we have the warranty on it, correct?
Absolutely.
Which tower was that? French Hill?
Yes. And being that we started this program in 2011, 2012, we're pushing that battery life expectancy. So we're looking at about $947,000 to start buying these batteries for the 4,500 that were changed in 2011, 2012.
So, Paul, with that being said, the $5 fee is going to cover meter replacements, batteries.
It's going to
maintenance on the tower.
Yes, so it's
Wi-Fi,
going to cover
Wi-Fi
all of
equipment,
metering
that
infrastructure.
Okay.
So it's like total of $15, right? Isn't that-
$15 a year.
So I'm a homeowner. My meter breaks. It's usually, I think we talked about it. A meter is about $300.
Yes.
Right. Not for me, right? Because this kind of joint fee. You come in, you replace the
Yep.
meter. It doesn't cost me anything.
It's kind of like a mini insurance policy, so to speak.
Gotcha. Okay.
We call Paul. That's it.
All right, so we have that. Now, you know, we're ahead of the game, per se, on the meter project. Now, back then, there weren't all of the costs associated that we realized, per se, but we would have been here anyway today because these meters that's the way it's going. Everything's radio operated, radio controlled, batteries, the whole 9 yards. So we know that's there. I do hope one year they make it so there's something you could almost wire into the house and don't need batteries, but that's a whole nother thing. The meters, there's a lot of debate and a lot of people who are not. Well, I don't want Ed knowing when I use the bathroom. I don't want Ed knowing if I took a long shower. So what do these meters tell people?
Nothing. Didn't I ask that question?
Don't take long showers. You control how much you spend.
So there are water meters that do exist that utilize ultrasonic technology, which is basically a giant listening device that can narrow down where leaks are coming from. That is on some meter products that are available, but that is not the meter product that the town of Yorktown uses. We use Census iPearl water meters, which are typically found in a residential home right now. They do not have any means of listening, no acoustic detection. Any transmissions that occur occur outside of the house. The device is called an MXU that gets mounted on the side of the house, front of the house, rear of the house. That is where the actual transmissions come from. We bill in 10-gallon increments. The average toilet flush today, if you have a new standard or efficient toilet, is between 1.6 and 2.2 gallons per flush. The old ones, I believe, were, let's just say, between 5 and 8 gallons a flush. But with the billing increments that we asked the program to give us, it would be impossible for us to actually determine when somebody flushed a toilet. Sure, if you dialed into the system for that specific account, you could probably draw a conclusion if somebody used 70, 80 gallons in that time frame. Okay, maybe they took a shower, but we don't actually get those readings in real time. There's about a 6-hour, 8-hour delay. So if I go in the morning, I'm sitting at the desk around 6:30, I'll see reads from midnight, but I will not see anything at that moment.
Yeah, that's all abstract, though. I mean, you're postulating that maybe, possibly, it just doesn't happen.
We do not have that definitive
No,
means.
So I think it's important for you to state it, because I know there are some people that are concerned.
I've had these questions.
I know you have, as I have had them as well to my office. So I will never discount any one of our town people's concerns.
Sure.
But I do like to give them the correct answer, and I appreciate that. Now, you just mentioned something. You'll be in the morning at 8, and you'll be looking at reads from like midnight. Is that helpful?
So the readings that I would be looking for in the morning are typically the highest readings in the system, just to try to see where, over the last few weeks, being how cold it's been, we have found at least a dozen houses that have been flooding one way or another. Some instances people were just they were home but not aware. Some of them were vacant. It is certainly helpful. I believe as the system gets completed, it will be more efficient in being able to determine, which brings me to the customer portal that we can offer our customers. If you really want to conserve water, if you really want to manage your bill, I would suggest everybody take their current bill, go to the Town of Yorktown website, look on the side, go to the water department, you'll see a field, customer portal. It's really simple. Just have your current bill with you. All you need is your account number, and on that bill, you're going to see a little field that says PIN code. That's going to be put in, and away you go. You'll actually be able to see what your meter is doing. You can set alerts. You're sipping Mai Tais and Tahiti, and nobody's in your house, you can set it for a gallon. So if there's a gallon of water that passes through my house, and this week
tells you.
I'll get an alert.
It's
so
like
you can call
ground.
your neighbor, you can call your kid, whoever it is, you can call us. Worst case, we'll shut the water off for you if that's what you're requesting. But there are options for customers to gain insight as to what's actually going on, and I would encourage everybody to please sign up, and that would make our notifications that much easier as well if we were to detect a problem.
Right. Well, yes, and I think notifications are important. I was speaking with Paul this morning, and he told me of a incident where someone did get a notice, and a second notice, and I believe a third notice. And because you had seen some high readings, you want to talk about that a little bit?
So there was a specific account over in town. We were seeing large amounts of water going through that account. We went out, we walked around. It's actually a meter pit in this instance, so it's actually in a 18-inch hole in their front yard. In this case, the house is set a little bit further back from that pit. We went out, we opened up the pit, we checked the meter, we verified, yeah, this is accurate, there's something wrong. We knocked on the door, we put a notice at the door. It was ignored. Next quarter, or next cycle, we went back and found the same thing still occurring. I believe a bill had arrived in that gap of time, and then the residents got a little bit more involved, but it was ignored for several months, and that was very costly.
So these meters, they actually help detect, and it's a nice service that the meters are providing versus it's not intrusive, but it's actually now providing a service that will help and detect, major problems at a house. So if a snowbird wants to go to Florida for a couple months, like you said, you could put that in that service and just go, hey, look, if 2 gallons goes through, I want to be notified, and I call you, and that means a pipe broke, and Yeah, you guys can shut it off, and they're still in Florida.
Precisely.
It's not even a broken pipe most of the time. Most of the time, it's a flapper in your toilet.
That is the main culprit
that
of
drives you. I get notices all the time from a place that I have, and it's like your high water uses, and it actually I get these emails with suggestions as to where to look. It's like so I'll call my tenant. I'm like, hey, listen, man, can you check this? Can you check that? Can you check over here? Yeah, okay. Jiggle the handle, boom. And it saves money.
If
Saves
I had
money.
to go out on a limb, I'd say about 90% of the calls that we get for high bills are because of a toilet leak. Typically, we aren't believed at first. Sometimes we have to actually go into the home, obviously with the homeowner, and they give us permission to kind of walk around with them because they say, I don't know what it is, help me. And usually we take that tank lid
open.
off, and it's running one way or another.
Yeah.
I had that happen to me one year. I actually had a flapper that was getting hung up.
Yeah, sure.
And there was one day I left the house, came back, it was still running.
It adds up quick.
Yeah, I had a $350 bill that cycle.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's a shame.
It's the value of the smart meter program.
Absolutely. It is helpful. I don't feel that it's going to hurt you. It's only going to help you at this point.
It's like any tool, if you try to hammer with a screwdriver, it might not work too good, but if you use that screwdriver to tighten things up, that's what this program is. Great.
You're like a fortune cookie tonight.
I am.
I'm just saying.
It's
you
just
know,
how, just all the things
I'm
that
just like, I'm
these are
getting
my-
all
these are
this.
my-
I'm
these
getting
are
all
my-
this
these-
knowledge right
These are
now.
my life experiences, and it depends on which boss I learned it from. I did construction back in the day, and that was one of the things he said: grab a hammer, not a screwdriver, or grab a screwdriver, not a hammer. I think, Paul, do you have anything else right now? Or?
That should be it.
All right, well, hang around for public comment if there's anything for you to answer, and we'll open the floor for public comment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I'm not going to go through the whole thing with some of my questions were answered, even though. Good evening, it's Jay Copstein. First, I'd like to remind the board, this is a public hearing, not a filibuster from the 1960s from board members. I'd like to know where the tax goes for the Yorktown Consolidated Water District tax. There's a fee there. What's it going for? That's first. Secondly, what is the total increase on the average for the quarter or for the third? You've got $5 here and $12 here. What does it add up to? Nothing was said. The law has to be changed from quarterly to triannual. But right now the law says it's going to be billed quarterly. That's incorrect. Lastly, we have a new water system. It's automated. We bid it out. A vendor bid on it, came back with a bid. We awarded the contract. The vendor then comes to us and says, oh, we got the contract, but we can't do half the town or a third of the town because we need a new base station. So the town board doesn't go back and look at the original contract. They say, okay, you can have a new base station for 50 grand. Then the vendor comes back and says, oh, by the way, even with the new base station, we still can't do it. We need an $80,000 tower. What did they bid on? What was the performance standard? That hasn't been mentioned at all. Are they in violation of their contract? If they are, turn it over to council. Why are we spending $130,000 that should have been included in the original bid? Maybe they wouldn't have gotten the contract had it been. Thank you.
Hi, Howard Gould. Well, you know how many years. My question is, and I'm just going to give you a hypothetical. I know with the electric bill, there's an option to, and I don't know if this will run into the water bill, there's an option that you can pay average throughout the whole year, so you don't have to have a huge bill come the summertime when you're using your air conditioner. Is there something they can do with the water bill so it kind of evens out throughout the year, so all of a sudden, summertime, you're not like paying, say, a huge bill because people are taking longer showers or whatever? I mean, we already talked about if you don't like the fluoride, don't take a shower, don't drink the water. Now I'm starting trouble, sorry. Because I see here even
So you
during
mean
the
like level billing? Is what
level
you're saying.
billing, is that a possibility? I mean, would that help the town at all? And another thing here, I'm just reading it, and this probably has nothing to do with it, so stop me, please. I'll take.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
It says here, if there is no running water through the pipes during the winter months in New York State, it's going to even cost you more money because the pipes break. Just to fix the pipes is probably going to cost you more money. Okay, thank you.
That's a true statement.
Oh, thank you.
This is a nice building. Natasha Allison, Yorktown Heights. I'm becoming a regular fixture up here. I don't necessarily have an opinion on the smart meters. I really did appreciate learning about the alerts that you can set in case like your hot water heater breaks or something like that. That's very helpful. I just, being an audience member, found some of the comments a little insensitive about water, like you can just shower less or shorter showers or be more aware of your dishes, because most people who are paying attention to their water bill are maximizing their efficiency in their home for themselves and for the environment. So I just found that a little insensitive to those who might be on a fixed budget or who are already aware. Rising costs are rising costs. They are what they are. The solution is not for people to have to modify or do even without less. So thank you.
Thanks, Natasha.
Thank you.
My goodness.
You back?
We
You back?
have a
Long
lot
time
of-
no see.
A lot
Still
of
Sarah?
topics.
Are you still Sarah?
I am still Sarah Wilson, still a
Hasn't changed.
34-year resident now of Yorktown. It's really important that we conserve water. And, hearing that the average resident is 21,000 gallons a billing period, that's a lot of water. But actually going through the various classes of the different small, medium, large, there are users apparently that use 2 million gallons a billing period.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, obviously that's commercial, but how many customers do we have in Yorktown who are using that quantity of water on a regular basis? Because it is a precious resource. So I'd personally be interested in knowing that. I think I was taking notes as we went along, because when I reviewed the law initially, it kept referring me to the master fee schedule, but of course the master fee schedule hasn't been updated with the actual amounts, so I wasn't sure what the fees were, but Paul explained that to me during the meeting, so I appreciate that. But I think if I tallied it up, it's about $47 or $48 attributable to the higher rate. The meter rental is about $15, and the capital fee is about $13 a year. Is that more or less? So that's about $76 a year.
A year, yeah.
On average. And
it would be less for people that use less?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And my husband's a gadget guy, and so the idea of this portal and being able to see
Exciting.
his usage, he's gonna be right all over that. And again, you can be even more conscientious and educated about your water usage by having something like that. And then lastly, Howard mentioned a level billing. In my case, what I'd be interested in, it's not specific to the law, but what I'd be interested in having the water department put in place is some kind of an auto pay option, because I pay everything automatically, and I get the bill from the town and it goes into the drawer, and then next thing I know, I've incurred interest and penalties and all that
You
stuff.
forget about it.
I forget about it because all my bills get paid automatically. So if there was a way to put that in place, and the same with my tax bill. I mean, I'm happy to automatically pay it. Rather than logging in and looking up and putting in my data, each time. If I could sign up for auto payment, I'd be more than happy to handle my town payments that way. So, just a thought. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Hello, Michael Beeks, Yorktown resident. I'm actually on well water, but I have to. So what we had to do, the penalty we have for excess water usage is that we run out of water.
Yeah.
So I created my own well monitoring system, which does all of these things that the town is also doing, and so finding dripping faucets or stuck toilets, or even toilets. The slow leaking toilet is where you just have a seal that just doesn't work correctly. All those things are not just good for reducing your bill, but also, like Sarah said, for the environment as well. So this sounds like a great system, and it's. I hope everybody takes advantage of it.
Thank you, sir.
My God, I wash dishes in the dark.
Anyone, any other comments?
Yeah, I can serve other places, Howard, but when it comes to water, I gotta wash the dishes before I put them in the dishwasher.
Motion.
All right, motion to close.
Motion.
Public comment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I just want to respond to a couple things. Well, Paul, you could probably respond to some as well.
Can I just do a quick?
Oh.
On that, we can make a quick change to the law to remove quarterly basis, and that can be addressed pretty quickly. I can send
Okay,
that around.
that would be great. And then also for Jay, when you have something like this with a lot of technical, I personally feel it's important to get a lot of the questions out for people that may not have been following it as tightly. I think our other ones moved pretty quickly today, but not a filibuster, but a tremendous amount of information today. And even myself, having multiple conversations with Paul, really wanted to make sure that the communication is put out there correctly. So just, I understand your point, though, and we've been talking about making conscious efforts to speed things along. Paul, did you write down any of the?
Yeah, so I apologize for not giving you the total for the year. It is approximately about $75 a year. That's total cost with everything.
For the average home.
That's for the average.
For the
one.
average 21,000 gallon per billing cycle.
And for the 9,000.
The other question about your commercial business, we couldn't come up with an average for a commercial business because there's a sliding scale. So because once you start hitting certain amounts, then the fees start to change. So we couldn't come up with an average because it's not a fair average.
When you hit certain amounts, the fees go
higher.
They go higher.
They go higher. So
Yes. So I couldn't come up with an average for commercial because it's almost impossible to come up with a true number.
Do we know who our biggest user is other than the town? FDR?
I think it's Treetops. Is that what it's called? Treetops on Lexington Avenue, the nursing home on
Nursing
Lexington
home,
Avenue?
Yeah.
There are approximately how many commercial accounts?
335. And there is 9,695 residential.
Yeah. So even though considerably fewer commercial users, it could be that they are very large customers
absolutely.
compared to the residential. And just to add to what you said, while the average user for the yearly cost, that's if they use 21,000, is about $75 per year increase. For those who pay minimum,
it would be
$40.65. Yeah.
So for what Howard was talking about, average billing, you don't have. Do you have control over that, or does that go back to New
Joint
York
Waterworks.
Joint Waterworks? Okay,
Yes.
so you can't do that.
I can absolutely reach out to them and see if that is an option.
Okay. All right, I figured that Joint
They do
Waterworks.
have hardship programs, or they call them hardship programs, but the truth is, they help balance it out because there are people also that are teachers that don't get paid in the summer, so they want to keep everything average. Like, everyone's got a different pay program, so yes, I would definitely call them.
And,
Yeah,
and Sarah, Sarah, I have had the conversation about the auto pay for both, and it's the way municipalities communicate with banks. There's an issue in that. We can't let the bank into the account. So like with NYSEG, my NYSEG bill goes right to the bank. we can't do that with our bills. So it's an unfortunate thing, but I have looked into that because less to bother. Mr. Brady, get home safe. Be well.
Take care.
All right, I'm sorry, Paul. There was some other. Were there other? I know Jay had asked about the consolidated water district tax, where that money goes to on the bill.
Oh, that I don't know. I have to talk to Janelle. I do not know. I'm going to be honest. Do not know where that goes.
Okay.
Well, it's a revenue we pay based on assessment. I think it's like something between $14 and $15 per thousand. So let's say $140 for the residential homeowner, and that is just part of the revenue within the water district that pays for everything, for your valves, for your salary, for everything.
But if you're in that district, you pay that.
Absolutely.
Yes, everyone in the
That are
district
not in that
pays
district
that.
that are also paying.
No, if you're out of district, you're not paying that tax. If you're out of district, actually you're paying a higher per gallon rate. So it's just a total picture. When you look at the budget for the water department, you have multiple revenue lines, but the biggest line is the consumption, and that's the rates
But
we're
I just want
raising.
to make sure that I understand that if you're not in the district, your rates for the water are higher.
Double.
Okay, I know that, but I'm just saying it. And we'll look into it with Janelle so you can have it, and then we'll give it to Jay. But like, if you're in the district, the consumption times what your rate is less than it is if you are paying, like when you're paying the tax. So if you're not paying the tax, you're paying double or a higher rate. And if you are paying the tax, that means that it will work in your favor. How it evens out is your consumption rate is less than the ones that are outside of the district.
Yes, and by raising the revenue on the consumption, this will take the pressure off raising the tax for those in the district, because we will have the additional revenue.
Coming from those who don't pay the tax at this time.
That's right, because you're getting more revenue based on the consumption, so the people who use the system more will be paying more, and that's the goal.
And if you're already paying a tax because it's part of your district or how that map is, because this town is very big, so we're mapped out, then your consumption rate is less than the ones that are not paying the tax.
That's right, because they're paying double the rate.
I know, I
per
just
gallon,
wanna-
yeah.
Okay, great.
So it's still going towards your consumption. The tax gets deducted on the price of which you are paying for water. I will get it for you.
That's not what he said. He said he didn't.
All right, Jay,
please don't
you'd have to come up to the microphone anyway.
Because I always have.
The water tax is just a rev, the water tax
Jay,
is a rev.
sorry, I closed the public comment, so.
The
Al,
water
we
tax
could
is a
talk.
revenue, okay? It's just a revenue source. It's one of probably 24 revenue lines in the water district budget, okay? And again, it's something between $14 and $15 per thousand, and the average residence is $10,000 assessed value. So roughly, let's say $140, $150, okay? And then that's, everyone pays that regardless of how much water they use. And then you have the per gallon usage, which is the 9,000 minimum. Anyway, but it all goes to paying for the salaries, for the water, for the valves, for everything that's in your budget. The multiple lines. That's where that tax goes.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
just two different ways to pay for the water that we use.
Yeah.
The
What it-
other question that Jay raised about the need for the new repeater station. Okay, I was a supervisor when we did that contract back in 2010 and 11, and I remember having a propagation study as to what towers were needed and where and how many. I honestly don't remember what that was in almost many years
So
ago.
when they did this round of meter installing, they finished the Hunter Brook area, and that's when they realized that because it's the lowest spot in town, that they had issues getting that signal out. So it wasn't until after this round, the first round, the meters weren't installed in that area.
Right, so basically, I think the answer to Jay's question is that bid was from the first round back in 2011.
Yes.
And on the propagation study and based on our basically 13 years or 12 years of using that system, we didn't have the issue. It wasn't until we moved forward with the full project. So
Yes.
the propagation that was done The propagation that was done on the original bid and where they were gonna put them is where the issue was. So, I understand what you're saying. They should have probably taken into effect, we were gonna go to this 100%.
We have the contract.
Okay, it's back in 2011, so we could look that up, Adam, right?
Yeah.
We can find, yeah, we'll find that and make sure.
There was a propagation study, but I don't remember what the details were, so. whether the-
And we just recently did another propagation
Yeah.
study, and that is what
That's
they
where you
came up
found
with.
it.
And there's no question that I think that the money that we recoup from having accurate meters will more than offset probably the cost of putting in that additional repeater station for Hunter Brook.
Right.
Okay. All right, so those are two answers we
If
need.
we close the hearing, the change that you're gonna make on quarterly, Adam, can we still vote tonight to pass the law?
No, you can't vote tonight. You have to vote March.
All right. What about the vote then to adopt the master fee schedule by resolution?
Well, there's some tweaks that have to be made to that also, so we should just wait.
Yep,
All
I
right,
agree.
then I suggest
So-
that we do that and plan that for next, can we do that next week?
No, we have to wait 7 days.
7
We could do
days
it March 4th.
The resolution, you could do at the next meeting, but the local law, you'd have to wait. till
Right.
then. But
All
you
right.
might, you might as well just do it on the same day.
Right.
All right, on March 4th.
So, Natasha, I don't know how many of the comments were meant to be insensitive as much as a learning ability, but sometimes delivery means a lot, as I understand. I don't think that the intent is saying don't shower, don't use your water, don't do. I think it's like, hey, there are ways, and that I know Tom in the back is furiously writing notes because he wants us to be part of one of the supervisor shows where we talk about water consumption, what we can do to help ourselves in our billing cycle. And I already see someone smiling that she would like to come and join us for that talk show with Sarah. So we'll take it as knowing there is a learning opportunity and an educational block to it, and we'll work on that as a whole. But
And that we're
thank
not
you.
discounting that some people are already doing it. I mean, we're doing it everywhere
Yeah.
at this point.
Yep, but we don't discount the comments, and
And when you have
I
a house
think-
full of kids, it's hard to hold the water.
Yep.
You know?
And then Sarah, I think everything was answered there. So, all right. So we're going to hold this over. Adam's going to make his changes, and we'll get it on the desks tomorrow, so we can go by March 4th. And we'll do everything together, I think. Thank you. All right. We will move on to resolutions. Authorize from Central Garage, authorize the following vehicle to be deemed obsolete and no longer needed for use by the town. It's a 2007 Ford Crown Victoria. Wow. Those were good cars. I know Jay's smiling. He got something to smile about today. He used to drive one of those. Yeah, the Crown Vics were great. From the engineering department, authorize the controller to transfer $55,239.52 from Yorktown Sewer Fund balance YS 1002 to New York City DEP Operation and Maintenance Contingent Account YS 630.2. That is to code a $50,000 contingency that was paid plus interest that accidentally got applied to general fund, and that's being recoded with the interest. From the finance office, authorize the controller to process the following budget transfer for the highway department. Maybe we'll put that off so Dave doesn't run out of here.
Can you hold on until the last?
And that's supply and maintenance from fund balance $37,375 for the purchase of salt.
Motion.
No, not yet. We got plenty. From the John C. Hart Memorial Library.
wanted to leave.
I don't care. Authorize the supervisor to sign 2 agreements with 4D Designs and Decorating LLC for the design and project management of renovation work at the John C. Hart Memorial Library. From Parks and Recreation, award the bid for buses for the summer camp programs and teen travel trips for the Yorktown Parks and Recreation Department. And I believe we are, let's see, the recommendation of the superintendent parks is to bid for section 1 A and B combined and section 3 school bus is hereby awarded to TM Bus Inc., the lowest responsible bidder. And Section 1C is hereby awarded to Royal Coach Lines Inc., the lowest responsible bidder. And bid for Section 2 and 3 Coach Bus is hereby awarded to Hudson Valley Charter Service, the lower responsible bidder. Great work, Jim, in breaking that down and finding the best value for the town. From the receiver of taxes, authorize the comptroller to refund the following duplicate second-half school tax payments for 2024-25 as enumerated. From the Water Department, authorize the Water District to purchase one 2025 Ford F-150 XL Super Cab vehicle for a total amount of $53,797.50. Real quick, I did ask for the study to be done for a hybrid, and unfortunately with the way these vehicles work on the sites, it would cost us more to upgrade to what could be hybrid than we would save. And then there would be a lot of different use. So it was actually a more expensive proposition in this case.
And Jim did a very good job at breaking this down. One of the water guys.
Our
went
master
down
mechanic in the water department,
He did a very good job.
Jimmy Morgan, and the name sounds familiar. That's because his father was chief of police years back, Chief Morgan. And Jimmy's been a 31 or 32-year employee of the town. He knows his business. And James, don't tell him I said that, please. Jimmy's really good, and he, like James, does a lot of thorough work on the meter stuff. Jimmy did a great job on this, and I can forward if you want to see the breakdown. All right, and that is that. Do we have a motion on those?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? No? All right, and then a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Yorktown. Thank you all. Have a great night. Jay, I'll try to get those answers for you tomorrow.
I don't even think it's 10 o'clock yet.